Lucky you.
Best 36 holes in golf.
You tuned in to Alternate Shots Podcast,
Marnie's Army.
where we talk about golf,
Marquis, Sandy's,
poker,
Bond, James Bond.
horse racing,
I'm all in.
great movies.
Alfred Hitchcock.
We have no script.
And down the stretch they come.
We're glad you joined us.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Whoop. Let's start again. Deja vu, Billy?
I'm sitting in the Triple Crown Bar across the street from Saratoga Racecourse.
He's trying to find a number.
Everybody's got their procedures and their policies and their angles.
Might be a late scratch. 40 to 1
That system.
I'll bet that down. I like the Packers.
You like the Packers?
These horses are real dogs.
I did.
Listen to this. Not in this lifetime. I might bet a half on the Packers, just for the hell of it. And who knows, I may not lose too bad. Yeah, who knows? Maybe you'll get a discount for coming close. I'm calling Lufkin.
Travers, I told you about
I love this.
32 star system, right? Mm-hmm. But I haven't put up a 40-star system in
There's just
years.
nothing like the characters
First
around
rate,
this sport.
blurred image is it.
Blurred image.
They range from desperate to calculating to all levels of income, all kinds of people.
Blurred
One of the
image.
things I love.
This is blurred image. This is the name that rolls off your tongue. He's got a 40. How many times have guys come up to you at the track? Now, I know you're at the track once in a while, but in the old days, you were either OTB, which is kind of track-like, or at the track. How many touts have come up to you with their 40-star system?
It's unbelievable how well, and we've talked about this before. That movie just really touches all the bases when it comes to the crowds that go to the track. They're every type of person.
This
In the
is
old
great.
at OTB, you'd have these all kinds of characters, speed figures, this, no bar shoes. I can't stand when they wear bar shoes, and all this stuff. And and then you get the reactions when they're right or wrong. When they're right, they're like puffing out their chest and tisking everybody that didn't listen to them. And when they're wrong, they figure the race was fixed.
This is one of my favorite episodes because I learned so much about horse racing, horses, the personalities. Because of your and others' experience, we're going to bring in some others' point of view during this. But this is the beginning. This is like the beginning of the horse racing year, 2024. This is the biggest race to date, right? The Pegasus 2024 World Cup.
Yeah, there's 13 races, a nice lucky number that day, and they tried to make it a lot like the Breeders' Cup, one of the Breeders' Cup days. So there's big purses culminating in the finale, the 13th race, which is a $3 million mile and an eighth race for some of the best horses in training, and some familiar names and some not so familiar names will attempt to win this huge purse, which will make the life or break the life of some people. But it's a long day at the track. They used to put the feature like this, like the second to last race, but now it's the last race, so they keep everybody there the whole time. But again, in this modern age, you don't have to be at the track to get a similar experience, at least as far as the racing and the ability to bet the racing goes.
What a beautiful scene we're looking at. This is a vintage postcard from Hallandale, Florida. Wishing you were here. The Gulfstream Park. Look at you got the little Mississippi steamboat over there and the Cape Cod sailboats and Nantucket sailboats over on the left. I don't know what's in the middle. Is that a German U-boat?
And there'll be a lot of people at the track that'll come for the weekend, that'll be there today, and hopefully winning enough money to set themselves up for tomorrow's big card. But as I've said before, and as someone once said to me, mornings at the track make all things seem possible again. And that really sums up a horse player's life.
Yeah, especially if they've been pounded all week and now they're looking at 13 great opportunities to beat the odds. That's a positive way to look at that. I want to run something and show you again, going back to one of our favorite movies. I'm going to run something that takes it from the opposite. Reminding me, Looney is the sidekick of Richard Dreyfuss here. What's Richard Dreyfuss's name? Trotter. Trotter's his name. And Looney is the guy we're going to hear from here. I mean, how many Loonies have you seen? Really are the cream of the crop of losers.
Yeah,
Just
Looney is Looney's sort of the bad luck guy. He's resigned himself to losing, and he's okay with it.
What are you gonna do?
I know what he's not gonna do.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
Well, you gonna bet on this race?
I don't know.
Whatever you do, don't bet on that horse.
Why not?
There's something wrong with its eyes. It's blind or something. How can they put a horse like that in a race?
Whatever you do.
You hear the little tingles, and he winks at him. Sure thing. And nickname, hot to trot.
Let me get this straight. Whatever I do, don't bet this horse.
Off we go.
Off we go, because that's a sure thing winner.
Yep.
You told earlier in other episodes, if you have a tip, it'd be terrible if somebody talked you off a tip. Even if it was just a tip, you like the name.
Yeah. You can't talk somebody off a long shot. Don't ever get talked off the long shot. It's better to lose your $2 than to not bet it and have it come in and kick yourself the rest of the day or week or year. Yeah, so even the best analysts in the world, even the strictest ones with their, boundaries, will not talk you off a long shot.
All right.
They may say, I don't like it, but I would never talk you off it.
It's a funny story. I've been to Gulfstream Park, but I haven't been. And so you're going to say, what are you talking about, Bob? It's too early. You don't drink. And it's even too early if you do drink. What do you mean by that? Emmett and Ho and my son Robbie and I went down in 3 or 4 years ago during COVID. And it's a hike. It's a hike. I kept saying, when are we getting there? I was the one driving, Dad, when are we getting there? When are we getting
Yeah,
there?
we almost
get there. We finally get there. And I can tell you for certain, I've never seen anything at this scene or anything like that, because we got there and they wouldn't let us go into the track because of COVID.
Oh, man.
So we sat in some sort of sports bar 15 feet from the paddocks. And, you come out of the
Watch
sports
the
bar.
simulcast.
So let's talk about the Pegasus World Cup 2024. It should be very exciting. It looks like a really high end, get your best dress on, get your best sport coat and tie on, and look good. Maybe is it the same as, say, you think going to the Kentucky Derby, or is it a European influenced kind of sporting horse racing event?
Well, it's more of a location thing. So, the Breeders' Cup moves around a little bit, and that's a big day for everybody. The Derby is always at Churchill Downs, and that's a huge day for Churchill Downs and certainly for the locals there. And Breeders' Cup is similar. Travers in Saratoga or the Belmont Stakes, all are location-centered events. And this is Gulfstream's, Flower Bowl. This is it. This is their big day. So everybody, not only the mucky mucks in the racing world, but all the people that are local fans and beyond will go to this, the same as they would go to the Super Bowl if it was in their neighborhood, whether they're football fans or not. So, yeah, this is their big event. And Gulfstream is where, the substitute. It's the winter track for all the Eastern players.
So let's talk about this is the 13th race tomorrow, Saturday at the Pegasus. Yep. Let's go into it. Let's dissect this. Let's hear from you. What are you touting? What are you tipping?
All right. So it's a 1.125 race, which is going to be once around. It's a good distance. A good time for a 1.125 is under 1 minute and 50 seconds. And a bunch of these have done that. A bunch of these have won at this distance. it's actually going to be a very competitive race because there's a lot of speed horses, including Baffert's National Treasure, and Brad Cox has a horse called First Mission, who's only run 6 races, I believe, with 4 wins and 2 seconds, and the 2 seconds were very close to wins, and he runs close to the pace. I'm not sure whether he'll try and take National Treasure on or not. But let's start from the rail. Nimitz class has won 11 out of 21 races, all for lesser company, but he doesn't pick the company. But he wins. I don't think he's going to get a lot of play, and I don't think he's got that big a shot. But it's hard to fault a horse who's won half of his races. Then there's O'Connor, no relation to our friend O'Connor, and he's won his last 2 races. One of them at Gulfstream Park. He's 2 for 5 at this distance. He's beaten both Grand Aspen and Il Miracolo, but he's lost twice to Skippy Longstocking. So you don't know. Maybe he's coming into his own, maybe not. But he's certainly done better the last 2 races of his life. So he's hot at the time.
Question on O'Connor.
Yep.
Is he got a little bit of an edge because he's won here before, opposed to the other horses?
It doesn't hurt to have track experience, but he's not the only one here with it.
Okay.
But he has run 5 times at Gulfstream with 2 firsts and 1 second. You know, in looking at this race, there were very few horses where I could say comfortably, I'm not worried about him. And O'Connor's not one of them. O'Connor would not, I'm not going to bet O'Connor, but it wouldn't surprise me if he won. The next horse in the field is Dynamic One, which is one of 3 for Todd Pletcher. And Todd Pletcher's training at 22% down there. He's always, in the top echelon of trainers wherever he goes. As Chris will tell you, don't bet Pletcher leaving a stretcher. So
yeah,
he makes it tough on you, though, because he's putting 3 horses in this race. So which one is the readiest? Are they all ready? That always confuses me. And Dynamic One has won 3 out of 5 races at this distance, but he's never won here in 3 attempts. So again, wouldn't surprise me, but he's not my pick. Next horse is Hoist the Gold. Now, Hoist the Gold has no earthly reason on paper to win this race, but I think he's going to win it. And he runs well both off the pace and on the pace. I don't think he'll engage National Treasure. If he does, that's going to mess them both up, I believe. But Hoist the Gold is trained by Dallas Stewart, who throws in bombs from time to time. He's known for throwing in long shots in big races. And this horse won his last race, beating track record type time at a mile, but it was in the mud and it was at Aqueduct. So this is a completely different venue. If it rains, I like him even more, because when he's in the wet weather, 2 races, he's won one, he's run 3rd once. And he's got John Velasquez on him, and John Velasquez is a Hall of Fame rider. So Hoist the Gold's going on my ticket somewhere.
Note, weather here tomorrow, sunny. And we haven't had sun in 2 months.
Okay, now we hit Trademark, who is a dark horse. He's won a bunch of races, 6 out of 22. He's beaten First Mission and Miracolo. He's lost to O'Connor and Miracolo. He's lost to Nimitz, and he's lost to Skippy Longstocking. So he's not for me, but again, would not surprise. He's got the ability, 2 for 5 at the distance. He's never run at Gulfstream Park, so we don't know, and he's working out pretty well. Then comes Senior Buscador, who I think people might take a shot at, but Senior Buscador lost to Hoist the Gold in his last race. But Hoist the Gold ran a hole in the wind that race, which is one of the reasons I'm leaning towards including him in everything I bet. But I'm leaving Senior Buscador off. If he wins, he's going to do it from off the pace. Well, another note about Buscador is that his trainer, Todd Fincher, who's not well known on the East Coast, is a very, very good trainer. He's a 24%. He has this last year, he ran 423 races and he won 100 of them. So the trainer is definitely qualified, and he's no idiot. So he's coming here trying to win. And next you come to the indomitable Bob Baffert, National Treasure, who tries them all. You got to give him credit for not backing down. And he's got a lot of speed, and he got nosed out in his last race by Cody's Wish. Cody's Wish is another story altogether in horse racing, and an amazing story, which too long to get into right now. But Google Cody's Wish if you want to learn that story. An awesome horse, and National Treasure almost won, and he ran very fast at a mile. He's never won at a mile and an eighth. So again, he's going to be out there wheeling away, and this is a big day, and Baffert plans for these days. So look out. I'm not using them, but again, I won't be surprised if he runs off and hides.
That might be good for Hoist the Goal, National Treasure, nudging through the mile mark, and Hoist the Goal neck and neck, and that's where Hoist the Goal may move on. And
I'm hoping that's what happens. Actually,
Treasure moves back.
Hope he sits a little bit off that one. Then you come to First Mission. Brad Cox, my opinion, probably he's certainly the top 5 trainers in the country and the world at this point. He knows what he's doing. His horses are always bet, and they should be. And he's got Luis Saez, who's riding at 16% down in Florida, 19% overall. This horse has run 6 races, as I said. He came in second by a nose and second by 3/4 of a length, and the other 3 he won. Second at this distance to Trademark, who beat him. I think he's better than Trademark. He's been off since November, and he's working out very well. So is National Treasure, by the way, working out in ridiculous times. National Treasure works 6 furlongs and 11-1. Horses don't run that on the track, so there could be a speed duel, but I think Saez is smart enough not to get too involved in it. And he'll sit off that, and the horse has demonstrated that he can sit off it. And 2 races back, he came from 5th to win. First Mission is a legitimate shot here. Do not leave him off your ticket. The trainer, the jockey, and the horse all look ready for this. Saez is based on the East Coast, so most of the East Coast jockeys are the Ortizes, the Saez, Alvarados. When New York is out of season, even though New York runs during the winter, the season is not now in New York. So they migrate down to Florida, where the purses are and the races are better and bigger. The whole racing world sort of goes out of the snow and into the sun. So these guys that base themselves on the East Coast mostly go down to Florida and Gulfstream. Saez is one of them. But horses that are coming in from the West Coast will bring their jockeys with them. So yeah, there will be jockeys from wherever the trainer and horses are coming from that come with the horse. If there's a guy shipping in from California and the jockey's not coming, that's sort of a red flag for me. That means that the jockey or the jockey's agent found something better to do, or don't like this horse's chances, or whatever else. So Grand Aspen is Fletcher's next horse. And I think this horse has the best shot of the Fletcher horses. He's 1-for-1 at the distance on the turf, but he's also won at this distance. On the dirt. He's also won at this distance on the turf. So he's really 2-for-2 at the distance. And the races that are shorter than this, he's come up a little bit short. And that leads people to wonder, does he wait for other horses? There are some horses when they run that they wait for company. They're like goofing around out there, and they just don't, take it all the way to the wire. They wait for their competition to come. Sometimes the competition comes and beats them out. So this horse has lost 3 races by a neck, and it makes people wonder, is he one of those kind of horses that waits? In my opinion, when I look at that, the 3 horses he lost by races he lost by a neck were shorter than this, and he was coming at the end to lose those. So he was making up ground. But then if you look at the 2 mile and 1/8 races, he drew clear in both of those races. So I actually think this is a perfect distance for him. And as such, he's absolutely being included on my ticket. I don't know if I'm putting him in the win slot yet, but him and Hoist the Gold are going to be involved in every bet I make. He pulled away from the field. He won by 3 1/4 lengths, and he won by 4 3/4 lengths at those distances. I think this distance is for him. And I like that about the horse a lot.
Okay.
Then you get to Il Miracolo. I'm going to say that wrong every time. Again, this horse has won twice out of 9 tries at Gulfstream, and he has never won at this distance. He's been beaten by both Trademark and First Mission in his last race, and O'Connor in the race before that. Guys who like Castellano, and there's no reason not to like Castellano, might think that this is a live horse. I don't like him, but a long shot player will certainly, I would not talk him off him, as I wouldn't talk anyone off him. The 11 horse is Croupi, another Pletcher horse who's won his last 2 races. Again, at this distance, he's 3 for 7. They're all good at this distance. I wish they weren't, because it's easier to eliminate horses that don't win at this distance. But his times aren't great, and his speed figures aren't great. But he is Todd Pletcher, so leave him off the ticket at your own risk and keep the stretcher handy. Then we come to Skippy Longstocking, who's got a great name and a lot of success at the distance. 3 for 7. If it was wet, he's 2 for 2 in the wet. A lot of things to like about Skippy. His trainer is very good, Safi Joseph, who's doing very well. 23% trainer this year, 20% down there at Gulfstream. He's got Tyler Gaffleone, one of the top jockeys, in my opinion, in the world. He ran in the Breeders' Cup mile against Cody's Wish and Nimitz, and came in third to them. So he fits here. His speed figures fit here. Another live horse, and he's an 8-1 morning line. I think he'll get some attention. I think his name will attract some of the hunch players.
All right. Moment of truth. What do you like on the Exactas? What are you looking at betting straight up to win? Do you have any ideas on a trifecta?
Okay, if I was going to bet Exactas today, and again, all this can always change. I'm on Grand Aspen and Hoist the Gold right now, and I'm throwing First Mission in the box. So First Mission, Grand Aspen, and Hoist the Gold, Exacta box, and you might get a pretty good return out of that, no matter what way it comes in. If it's Hoist the Gold on top, you will get a very good return. I'm going to include National Treasure in some superfectas with those 3 horses, because it's sort of like a guy who goes all in on the river. He's either got air or he's got a monster.
Yep.
And that's what National Treasure is. He's either going to be there or he's going to be up the track. And Baffert doesn't come all the way here for nothing. His ego wouldn't allow that, and his record shows that. So National Treasure, not my favorite, because I'm worried about him at the distance, but I know if I bet him, I'm going to get a lot of calls. I'm going to be alive for at least the first 3/4 of that race.
Yay. Who's your win? You don't bet 2 winners, so who's your horse you're going to put $20 to win on?
As of this moment, I would say Grand Aspen is the winner.
Okay.
So but I'm not going to really focus a lot on the win. I'll put the $20 on Grand Aspen, but I'm going to cover Grand Aspen and Hoist the Gold and First Mission in a bunch of bets. I might throw, Dynamic One in there. I might throw Skippy Longstockings in there in a couple of odd exactas or superfectas. This is a good race to bet some superfectas, because you might catch a couple of long shots in the superfecta. So if you can pick the first 4 and box them, for $1, it's $24. I might do 1 or 2 of those, and throw some bombs in there and hope for the best.
This does look like a race where a long shot's going to come in. One of our friends, Scooter, says Pegasus is an interesting race. He thinks that Miracolo will shock and run down either Hoist the Gold or Skippy Longstocking. So that's where he weighs in. Our buddy Steve Boucher, he weighs in a little differently. He says, I'm going to go out on a limb choosing First Mission. You talked about First Mission, Croupi, and we hear from Steve Boucher on Skippy Longstocking. So there's a couple people that have been around the track. Steve, as an owner, and Scooter, like you, been around the track for a long time. This is just going to be a fun race, because there's going to be, from what I'm learning from you, it's not a 2 or 3 horse race likely. It's going to be a chunk of horses coming in halfway into that last 1/8 of a mile wanting to win this thing.
I don't think you'll be anybody worse than 2-1, which is rare in races like this. I think the favorite might be 2-1 or 5-2. I certainly wouldn't take short odds, like even money on any horse in this race. But again, the betting public is smart, and so are the connections. So you watch the board, and if you see a horse like First Mission get bet from a 7-2 morning line down to 3-5 or something like that, then you have to consider the words out on that. and some people in the know are throwing money on him. And there's nothing in his past performances to make you think that's a crazy bet. So you have to watch the board too. And like I say, today is one thing. The day at the track, things can change. The way the track's running, things can change. So
I'm going to let you go back to the drawing board here. We're going to take one last clip here.
Gotta win on this one. I got
Give me a burger.
One burger. Why do you like this fake here?
Come for me.
I hear you're hot, Trotter.
It's because I won one lousy race.
Well, you never know. I've seen dumber guys than you win 2 in a row. And 25.
You know, the funny thing is, if I'd only bet $2, I'd be up $28. I thought a hamburger cost $1.50.
Honest mistake. Why do you like this fake here?
How do you know that I like fake?
You might be walking around lucky. And not even know it. You know what I mean?
You might be walking around lucky and not even know it. Let's hope that's all of us and our friends. Let's have a great Pegasus 2024, a Pegasus World Cup 2024. Billy, you've been awesome. Thanks so much.
okay, man. Good luck at the track.
That'll do it.
Some relative died. Sorry.
Hi, cheeseburger.
Hey, Trot. Trot. Who you like in the first, huh? Who you like? Come on. Come on, tell me. Come on, it's cheese. Trot, who you like? Come on, tell me. Who you like?
The number 4 horse.
Wait. Come again?
The number 4.
Nobody in his right mind bets the 4 horse. The 4 horse is a joke, Trotter. This guy. They put little kids on the 4 horse to have their pictures taken.
Why are you laughing?
Well, at least we have the laugh to add at the end.
Right. We've gone from 12 handicaps at this to 19 handicaps in just a week.
That's what happened. Somebody changed my grip, and the next thing you know, I can't do the podcast anymore. I felt like I was in the first row of the first pew at church, right during the sermon.
And your brother was poking
My
you.
brother was making me laugh.
Thanks for joining us today.
Billy
We really appreciate your feedback. And please subscribe to the show. Hit them hard and hit them off.
That's 36 holes.